So with the new Bad Batch series recently announced, and the information that it will cover the stories of a few clone troopers after the end of the war, I figured it was a good time to take a look at what we know about what the clones did after the end of the war. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, head down below and hit that subscribe button. So the clone troopers were designed for one purpose, to serve the Republic in their war against the Confederacy of Independent Systems. The accelerated aging designed to deliver the clone army quicker also made them become obsolete quicker. Clones would age to the point where they wouldn't be effective in combat far quicker than regular organic humans. And they were far too expensive to keep replacing, especially in peacetime. These factors lead to the clones being phased out at the end of the war. But what happens to the clone troopers when they get phased out? We know a few clone troopers removed their inhibitor chips, and we see these clones prominently in Star Wars Rebels. These clones, however, represent a very small fraction of the clones left at the end of the war. A lot of the clones' fierce loyalty to the Republic carried over to the Galactic Empire. And in the days immediately following Order 66 and the end of the war, many of them continued serving the Galactic Empire. Much of the clone army was reorganized to the Stormtrooper Corps, and they became the first Imperial Stormtroopers. In canon, at least, the clone facilities on Kamino are quickly shut down by the Galactic Empire, and the steady stream of new clones stops. Without a steady flow of new clones coming in, all of the new forces were volunteers. But they still needed to be trained. So as the clones became too old to serve in combat, many of them went into training roles. The expertise they acquired from serving in the Clone Wars and actually fighting in a war was very effective at teaching clone troopers how to be effective soldiers. Now, as many of us know, the Stormtroopers would never be quite as effective in combat as the clone troopers, but they could still be trained up to a higher standard by soldiers who had actually seen combat. And with many of the clone troopers stuck in the awkward position where they really didn't have any skills valuable in the civilian world, staying in the military was really their only option. So a very large portion of the clones actually continued serving the Imperial military basically until old age. However, thanks to the clones' rapid aging, they quickly got too old to even serve as instructors. By the time of A New Hope, most of these clones had been phased out and they were a really rare sight, basically anywhere in the Imperial military. The Empire did make use of a few clones here and there, but they were really rare. We do know one of these Imperial clones was leading the squad of Stormtroopers that attempted to intercept Luke and Obi-Wan as they arrived at the Mos Eisley spaceport on Tatooine. This clone Stormtrooper is actually the one that Obi-Wan uses a Jedi mind trick on to allow them to sneak into the spaceport. But generally, the Fett clones were completely gone by the Battle of Yavin, most of them having retired and basically being too old to serve any role. But some of the clones didn't stay with the Empire. There was a portion of clones that left. Now, we do only know about a few of them, but I assume we're going to hear more of their stories when the Bad Batch comes out next year. But let's talk about the ones that we do know. Of course, we know about Rex and his little group of clone troopers who had removed their inhibitor chips following the end of the war. They had managed to slip away from Imperial service and lived relatively comfortable lives. That is, until they had their run-in with the Rebel Alliance. These clones, having removed their inhibitor chips, decided to serve the Rebel Alliance in their fight against the Galactic Empire. However, this is exceedingly rare. Many of the clones who left the Galactic Empire would have been seeking work in private sectors, usually in security or something like that. But some of the small little tidbits of information that Disney have let out about the Bad Batch have showed us a couple other things that some of the clone troopers were up to after the war. We know that some members of the Bad Batch end up bounty hunting, which seems like a pretty good fit for clone troopers seeing their combat experience. I actually think that's one of the most fascinating elements about what the Bad Batch has to show us. What happened to the Republic immediately following Order 66? We know the very beginning of the Imperial transition, and we see it 5 years on in Jedi Fallen Order, but there is that 5-year gap that we really don't have a great idea on. So it's going to be really fascinating to get a good look at what that looked like. If you want to know more about the Bad Batch specifically, I'm going to leave a link up here to my video on that, because I do have a video covering the members of the squad. And I want you to tell me down below in the comments what you hope to see from this new Bad Batch show. Would you like to see the clones kind of bounty hunting, or would you like to get an idea for what some of the clones that stayed in the military ended up doing? And if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.